I have these star sapphire and rubies, and I've been wanting to make something with them for a very long time. And I have this idea in my head. I'm hoping I can bring it to life. The largest star sapphire that I have is this round one. And right now, it doesn't look like much because there's like lights coming from every direction. It's a little cabochon. It's a great size. Like it's a really nice size star sapphire, and it has the most beautiful star in it. Let me get you closer so you can see. So this is the star sapphire, but this is with a ton of lights on it. So I've got overhead lights, I've got a ring lamp, I've got two other lamps up on my desk. So I'm gonna turn them all off, and I'm gonna show you with a direct light what it looks like. Actually, I'll only turn those two off because that should be plenty. So this is a really incredible star on this sapphire. It's just really a gorgeous star sapphire, and we're gonna make it into a beautiful ring. My name is Vanessa. I am the creator of With Love Jewelry, and I am a self-taught metalsmith. And this episode of At the Bench, we are going to be making a ring for this star sapphire. And I want the ring, like the bands of the ring, to kind of hug the star sapphire, if that makes sense. At the end of this video, if this works out, you will understand what I mean by this. So this is what I have in my head. Let's see if I can translate it into silver. Since this is a cabochon, we're gonna keep it nice and simple and use some wire that I rolled out for a bezel. Now this dome is pretty low, so the angle of change that we wanna look for is probably half this bezel length, even maybe a little bit less than that. So I'm still gonna cut this. I'm still gonna use this. I'm not gonna roll out something else, and then we'll just adjust it as we need. I have such a hard time cutting in a straight line. Like, it's so, with my saw, it's so hard for me. As soon as I start getting like metal dust on my line and I can't see it anymore, I'm like, it's so bad. And then you see these amazing jewelers that do like saw pierced pendants or rings or whatever, and it's just like perfection. And I'm like, I know it takes practice, I know. And every time I try and saw in a straight line, I'm like, I'm gonna do better this time. It's gonna be straight, and it's never straight. So we're gonna figure out which one's better and clean it up a little bit to make it straight. Oh my goodness. So it's actually just a little bit small. So we're gonna open it up some more. So that's my little ring, just barely inside, and then I'm going to file and sand it down so that it's flush once it's soldered. And then it just gives me the right amount of room for the sapphire. Yesterday I took a bunch of my scrap silver and I melted it and I poured it out, and with one piece I made some bezel sheet, and then I have the other two pieces here, so thinner and thicker, and then that's like a middle piece. I think I'm going to start rolling this thicker one out for the ring shank for this star sapphire. I'm looking for this again, so I know I don't need all of this, but we're gonna start rolling all of it minus this, and when we get to a certain thickness, then we'll chop off what we think we don't need and then keep going. So this is the soldered piece, and now we're just going to file and sand this down so everything is nice and flat. And now you can't tell that there were two separate pieces. If I keep rolling this, it's going to roll out to be really, really long. So I'm just gonna chop off about a chunk like that and then continue rolling that piece and save the rest for another project. I've never used a saw blade this thick, but they say you want like 3 of the teeth on your metal while you're cutting. This is a size 6 saw blade, and worked really well. So I've got my bezel. Gosh, that's gonna look so pretty, like that's really prominent, I love it. Okay, and I've rolled out my wire, and this is even more than I actually needed, but it's okay. And so what we're going to do with this is, I know I keep doing this, but I'm going to file down my sides of my, well actually I need to chop it down to size and then file it down so that they come to like a nice soft curvy point instead of being completely square. I've marked off 10 millimeters from either end, and I'm just gonna run it through the rolling mill to gradually taper it. Actually, I might even come in a little bit more than the 10 millimeters, but this way it starts to taper on its own instead of me filing away all that metal, and it just gives me a little bit more wiggle room to work with when I'm creating the shape that I want around my cabochon. My super amazing and generous friend that actually gifted me this workbench also, or I'm sorry, jeweler's bench, also gifted me this amazing fume extractor, and I really need to set it up, but I don't know where. So I always wear my respirator mask whenever I'm sanding or filing or polishing, just so I'm not breathing in like the metal dust or the compound. I think this would really be helpful for all of the dust that settles. So I'm gonna try and figure out where I'm gonna put it. I want to try something that I've seen people do when they make prongs, and it's probably much easier when you're making a prong because prongs are pretty short. But they put the prong inside their flex shaft, and then they spin it, and then they use it as a lathe, and that would be super helpful. I am so blown away by how well that worked. They are nicely tapered, and now I can form my actual shape of my ring that I want it to be, and then just go in and clean up any spots by hand that I think need to be shaped a little bit more. But that was awesome. I'm totally gonna do that with prongs. This needs to be annealed. So the sapphire isn't set in there yet, but I just got the shape of the setting how I wanted it. It looks so cool. This isn't soldered yet, but I just wanted to show you closer up what I meant in the beginning by that shape that I was going for, how it kind of cradles the bezel, and then the sapphire is just going to sit in there. And this is going to be super easy to solder because of the tension, but I think I'm going to pull this up just ever so slightly because I do see a gap right there, and I want that nice and tight so that it solders clean. That's much better. I think I made a really big mistake that might cost me this project. And if that's the case, I'll be really upset. So this is a bezel, and I need to be able to fold the bezel wall over my sapphire. But where this is so close to the edge of the bezel wall that I don't think I'll be able to fold that over. So I'm gonna attempt to set the stone, but based on how it looks right now, I don't think it's gonna work. the sapphire set, I managed to fold the bezel wall down all around, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you, if it wasn't for this little Dremel engraver, I probably wouldn't have been able to do this. Like, I don't think I would have been able to do that by hand. Amazon, I think it's 25 bucks. It's worth 10 times that. So I'm gonna give this its final polishing and clean up all of the edges just to make sure it looks nice and pretty. And then I'll show you what it looks like. This ring is done. Excuse the respirator mask marks. So grateful that this worked out, and I'm so glad that I have this Dremel engraver that made this so easy to set, because, and this is not sponsored at all, like, I bought my Dremel engraver with my own money, and I'm literally just telling you how much I love it because I love it so much, and I think it's so useful and absolutely worth the money. But putting that aside, I'm gonna show you this outside. It's a sunny day. Hopefully there's no clouds covering the sun right now, but outside there is one direct source of light, so the star on this star sapphire should really shine beautifully. So I'll show you the finished ring, and I hope you love it as much as I do. So there she is. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. This ring will be made available on my next shop update, which is the beginning of July, and I can't remember exactly what the date is, but I will put it in the description of this video. So I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, I would love if you could like this video. And if you enjoy videos like this, it'd be awesome for you to subscribe to my channel and follow along with me on my journey as a self-taught metalsmith. I will see you next time, and I hope you have an amazing day.